Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another video. I am walking I am walking back from the post office. It's an excellent walk because walking long distances helps you health wise, and if you want to lose weight, the distance that's covered really helps in that. Get a nice sweat, burn up those fat cells for both men and women. Look, they just put on the sidewalk a section for bike riders. They're trying to make the neighborhood more exercise friendly, which is awesome. This wasn't here maybe about 3 months ago. So there's a lane for people who are walking and a lane for people who are riding. And I've seen people riding their bikes or scooters. So that's awesome. But I wanted to bring up something that I found very interesting. I was at a gathering, and the sisters were from different countries, and I love talking to people from different countries, Muslims from different countries, because you get so much insight on the history of Islam in the East, whether that's, Africa, like Eastern Africa, or the Middle East period, or Eurasia. You get some insight from individuals who at least know their history, which I think people who are living in those countries, they're going to know some history, of course. So this particular sister that I was talking to was from Uganda, and I was telling them about what they tell us in the U.S. about slavery and how the Arab slave trade was just as brutal as the transatlantic slave trade and all of that nonsense, which I know better. You know what I mean? They just, it's another means for them to try to attack Islam through to black people. Okay, you guys were enslaved. You hate slavery and what was done to you. Why do you follow a religion that allows slavery? Allah legislated slavery. Period. I mean, y'all follow the book. You corrupt it, the Injil, the gospel, and but it's legislated in the religion. It's just the way that you guys did it was oppressive, and that's haram. You can't oppress people in slavery. So I was just giving her some background on the effects, of course, what they did after slavery, what they did, what's the current state of the descendants of the slaves in the United States, you know, from the psychological effects and all of that stuff. I did a video about that, psychological effects of living under the disbelievers, and I mentioned the Muslims being captured and brung to the U.S. Well, it wasn't the U.S. then, but, to the Americas, and how they were treated, and their religion was snatched from them, and they were forced to practice Christianity and all of that good stuff, right? Well, not good stuff, but, that's a figure of speech. So I said, yeah. And they told us, there's a guy named Thomas Sowell. He's an intellectual, and he so-called gives history on different, you know, geopolitical situations around the world, as well as the history of the United States and the different social classes and the reasons why things are the way that they are, and all of these things. But of course, he's an outsider, and most Westerners are, and they're not truthful. So he had one segment where he was talking about the Arab slave trade, and that of course was based in East Africa. The Arab did not have slaves from West Africa. West Africans were Muslim, so you can't enslave the Muslims. So those who they enslaved were pagans from Somalia at the time, from Kenya, Uganda, according to the sister, they were enslaved. But guess what she said? She said they taught us Islam, they married us, they taught us manners, and treated us well. And she said the Europeans were the ones that were trying to come and steal us from them. So what I noticed is that besides the Somalis who they got beef with the Arab, not all of them, of course, because you got Somalis who marry Arab. They marry Yemenis, they marry Saudis, they marry Emiratis. Not all of the Somalis hate the Arab. And I know Somalis who have married Arab. So I don't know what faction of Somalia is promoting the hatred of Arab and saying that the Arab came in and messed them up or whatever. However, those of you who know maybe be able to enlighten me. I don't care about no tribalism stuff. I don't want any biased history either. If you're gonna come on and rant about the Arab did this negativity, then don't. I'm gonna delete your comment. I want sincere, truthful people who are not biased and already have hatred in their heart. I don't want that. But the Ugandan sister, I said, well, what they tell us is that in the Eastern Africa, where the Arab were still practicing slavery, the Caucasians tried to come and stop them and stop the ships, and they would kill the babies and the women, and throw them overboard or smash the baby's head on rocks. She was like, wow, that's crazy. I said, yes, that's the narration. She said they were the ones trying to steal us from them. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. That makes sense. She had a very positive view of Arab. She was Ugandan. And then what I noticed is that West Africans don't necessarily have a positive view of Arab unless they're from Nigeria, like northern Nigeria, because they're mixed with Arab, right? But people don't really know much about the northern Nigerians. And I noticed that Senegal, not Mauritania necessarily, no. I've never heard Mauritanians speak ill of Arab because they have Arab tongue as well. They speak French, but they speak Arabic. But I've noticed that those countries who were colonized by the Europeans, who were Christian, of course, they made them hate the Arab, of course. Why wouldn't they? Because inherently they're an enemy. Islam is an enemy to Christianity. So that's how they made it, of course. So, of course, they're going to make them hate who they hate. So most of the Africans who talk trash about the Arab or who hate the Arab or say they're unjust, or they prejudiced and they're racist, either they have come across the Arab who are afflicted with Arab nationalism from those countries I mentioned, like Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, some of Jordan, the Shami countries, Iraq. These people were afflicted by ideologies that are foreign to Islam. So they come across these individuals and they think that all Arab are the same. But it's an ideology that causes those Arab to believe how they believe and behave how they behave. But that's foreign to Islam, right? And then the Christian Africans, of course, they are going to take on the same hatred for the Arab because they're Muslim as their Christian counterparts from Europe do. But the Eastern Africans, on the other hand, they have a positive view. They don't hate them. That's what I've noticed. Mixing with the Ethiopians, like I said, the Somalis, Eritrea. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just saying, Uganda, I think I mentioned Kenya or whatever. The Omanis were the ones who were doing a lot of the slave trade in those regions. But like the sister said, they married us. That's those are things that are not talked about, because how can an outsider know that? They can't. You have to talk to the Muslims who are from those lands, who knows the history, you know? And you can't take things about your religion or about the people who practice your religion from outsiders, from people who don't share your religion. You're not going to have a correct view at all whatsoever. You're going to be unjust. You're going to be unjust. And you're going to have undue hatred, unjust hatred. Another thing the Nigerian sister told me, I think I may have mentioned this in another video, I'm not sure, but she mentioned how the north of Nigeria, all she grew up with nothing but mixed Nigerians with different Arab, right? They're mixed with Egyptian, mixed with Yemeni, mixed with Lebanese, Palestinian, Moroccan. So the Muslims have a whole world that the Western Muslims are locked out of. Okay? If you're a European Muslim and you are a convert or someone who entered into the fold of Islam, you're locked out. You're American, Canadian, Muslim, whether you're born or not, and your parents only taught you the hate, the Arab, or whatever, you're not going to have a correct view or a full picture view of what actually goes on. I just found that very fascinating. And it's not something to be broadcast because it's normal. If people are getting married because they're just inter-tribal marrying, what is there to broadcast? It's normal. It's not something that needs to be shouted at by the mountaintops like some individuals sensationalize white and black marriages, interracial marriages, that as if that's all there is. No, it's because it was such a taboo and something that was hated, so now it needs to be celebrated because, wow, look at these people, they're finally, getting together, they're accepted now, and all this kind of craziness. But, yeah, that's what I wanted to share, you know. When you come overseas, have conversations with people, talk to them, mix with different Muslims, don't just stay with your own kind, because you'll be fascinated as to how your mind opens up and how your perspective changes and how duped you were in the education system in the West. They duped you and they wanted you to hate yourself. That's what they want. They want you to hate Islam and ultimately give it up. Give you a different identity. Make you look at them as if they are the superiors and you are inferior. And it worked. It worked. But got to get out the matrix. The matrix of the United States. Look up the word matrix. Matrix is a real word, and it is a condition, a set of circumstances or conditions, whereas though other conditions grow from that. So the matrix of the United States produces what it produces. Each country has a matrix. It's not like the movie. It's an actual word, actual condition. So not all matrices are negative. I just wanted to throw that in there because the word is being used as if it's the boogeyman or something like this out of this intangible. No, it's a condition. It is a set of conditions, like a foundation that was laid in order for something to grow, a particular outcome to grow in that foundation. All right, so you have the matrix. Could say, I guess, where Islam was the foundation. So it's going to have its fruits, you know. But that's it, y'all. Thanks for tuning in as usual. And don't forget Hijra Mandate Sacrifice. And I will see you all in the next video. Inshallah. Ma'as salama.